Have you ever wondered why laws exist? It's a question that might seem simple at first glance, but the more you think about it, the more complex it becomes. Laws are the backbone of any society, providing structure and order. Without them, chaos would reign supreme. It seems like a pretty basic question, right? But when you dig deeper, you realize that laws are not just rules, they are reflections of our values, our history, and our collective experiences. They shape how we interact with each other and how we resolve conflicts. They're there to keep things fair and keep us from punching each other in the face. Mostly. But fairness is a concept that can vary greatly from one culture to another. And that's where things get interesting. But what you might not realize is that there are different types of law out there, each with its own unique history and set of rules. For instance, common law and customary law are two major legal systems that have evolved over centuries. Think of it like operating systems for a society. Just as your phone or computer runs on a specific OS, societies operate under different legal systems. You've got your iOS, your Android, and then you've got whatever the hell Windows is trying to be these days. Each system has its own strengths and weaknesses, and the same goes for legal systems. Today we're diving headfirst into the exciting and surprisingly understandable world of common law and customary law. Common law, primarily found in countries like the United States and the United Kingdom, is based on precedents set by court decisions. Customary law, on the other hand, is rooted in the traditions and customs of a community. Don't worry, we'll keep it simple. We'll break down the key differences and similarities between these two systems, so you can get a clear understanding without needing a law degree. We're not lawyers, we just play them on TV, but that doesn't mean we can't help you grasp the basics. After all, understanding the law can be empowering and even a bit fun. By the end of this, you'll be able to impress your friends with your newfound legal knowledge. Imagine dropping some legal wisdom at your next dinner party or casual hangout. You'll be the star of the conversation. Or at least, you'll finally understand what Judge Judy's been yelling about all these years. So, sit back, relax, and let's embark on this legal journey together. It's going to be an enlightening ride. Let's start with common law, the reigning champ in many countries, including the good old US of A. This system can be traced back to medieval England. Picture knights, castles, and really bad dental hygiene. Back then, there wasn't a handy-dandy law book judges could consult. Instead, they made decisions based on, well, common sense and the customs of the people. Over time, these decisions became precedents, like legal building blocks for future cases. It's kind of like how your mom always used your older siblings' bad decisions as an example for why you can't go to a party. Remember what happened to Jeffrey when he went to that rave in the woods? Exactly. No parties for you. This whole precedent thing is crucial to understanding common law. Basically, it means that courts are bound to follow the decisions made in similar cases that came before. Think of it like this. If a judge ruled that stealing a loaf of bread is punishable by a stern talking to from a baker, then in all future bread-stealing cases, judges would have to stick to that punishment. Unless, of course, the accused stole a gluten-free loaf. That's a whole different legal ballgame. This reliance on precedent is meant to ensure consistency and fairness in the legal system. Of course, the system isn't perfect. Sometimes those old precedents are about as outdated as a dial-up modem. Now let's hop over to customary law, a system deeply ingrained in tradition and the way things have always been done. Imagine a community living by a specific set of rules passed down through generations. That's customary law in action. These aren't laws written down in some fancy law book. They're woven into the fabric of society itself. Think of it like the unwritten rule of not talking about Bruno in Encanto. Everyone just knows, man. Customary law is particularly prevalent in indigenous communities, where customs and traditions hold immense cultural and legal significance. It's a way to preserve their heritage and maintain social order. Section 4, the power of precedent, real-world examples. Let's get real for a second. Remember the landmark case of Brown v. Board of Education in 1954? That's common law in action, folks. The Supreme Court, drawing on previous rulings and evolving societal values, declared segregation in public schools unconstitutional. This decision didn't just magically happen overnight. It was the culmination of years of legal battles and precedents that chipped away at discriminatory practices. It's a prime example of how common law can be used to challenge injustice and adapt to changing times. Section 5, Custom in Action, Real-World Examples. Let's take a trip to the mountains of Nepal. For centuries, the indigenous communities there have relied on a system of customary water rights, where water allocation is based on traditional practices and community agreements. These customs, passed down through generations, ensure everyone has access to this precious resource. This isn't some archaic relic of the past. It's a living, breathing example of how customary law can provide sustainable solutions to modern-day challenges, especially in a world grappling with climate change and resource scarcity. Section 6. Bridging the gap, similarities between the systems. Now you might be thinking these systems seem pretty different, and you'd be right to some extent, but hold your horses. There are some surprising similarities too. Both common and customary law are rooted in the idea of fairness and justice. They both aim to resolve disputes and maintain order within a society, and get this, both systems recognize the importance of community values and customs. In common law, these values often influence how laws are interpreted and applied, so, while their origins and methods differ, their ultimate goals share common ground. Section 7. Worlds apart, key differences. In this section we will delve into the fundamental distinctions between common law and customary law, two legal systems that shape societies in unique ways. Okay, time to address the elephant in the courtroom, the differences. These differences are not just academic, they have real-world implications for how justice is administered and experienced by people. One key distinction is flexibility. Flexibility in a legal system can determine how well it adapts to new challenges and societal changes. Common law is generally more adaptable to change. This adaptability is largely due to its reliance on judicial decisions and precedents, which can evolve over time. Remember those precedents we talked about? They serve as a guide but are not immutable. Well, they aren't set in stone. Courts can overturn or modify them to reflect evolving societal norms and values. This means that common law can be quite dynamic. Courts can overturn or modify them to reflect evolving societal norms and values. This means that common law can be quite dynamic, allowing it to stay relevant in a rapidly changing world. Customary law, on the other hand, tends to be more rigid. This rigidity can be both a strength and a weakness depending on the context. Traditions are deeply ingrained, making changes a slow and often complex process. This can provide stability, but may also hinder progress. Another major difference is formality. Formality in legal systems can affect accessibility and public perception. Common law is a codified system, meaning it's all written down in big, scary law books. This codification can make the law more predictable but also more intimidating. Customary law is often unwritten, relying on oral traditions and community understanding. This can make it more accessible but also less consistent. Think of it like the difference between following a recipe to the letter and just throwing things in a pot and hoping for the best. Both approaches have their merits and drawbacks, and understanding these can help us appreciate the diversity in legal systems around the world. Section 8. Why should we care? The importance of legal awareness. So why should we care about all this legal mumbo-jumbo? It's a fair question. After all, the law can seem like an impenetrable fortress of jargon and red tape. But here's the thing. The law is everywhere. It affects almost every aspect of our daily lives, from the contracts we sign to the rights we exercise. Because understanding the law, in all its forms, is empowering. It gives us the tools to protect ourselves and our loved ones. Imagine being able to confidently navigate a legal document or knowing exactly what to do if you're ever in a legal bind. That's the power of legal awareness. It helps us navigate the complexities of our world and advocate for ourselves and our communities. When we understand our rights and responsibilities, we can make informed decisions and stand up for what we believe in. This is especially important in a world where laws and regulations are constantly changing. Whether we're dealing with a landlord dispute, a consumer rights issue, or even a workplace conflict, having legal knowledge can be a game changer. It can mean the difference between a favorable outcome and a frustrating ordeal. Or even just trying to understand the news, which is often filled with legal terms and implications. Being legally aware helps us make sense of the world around us and stay informed about important issues. Having a basic grasp of legal principles can make all the difference. It can help us avoid legal pitfalls and take advantage of opportunities that we might otherwise miss. Plus, it can give us the confidence to engage in discussions about legal matters, whether in a professional setting or in our personal lives. Plus, knowing the difference between common law and customary law might just win you a trivia night someday. And let's be honest, who doesn't love a good trivia night? It's a fun way to show off your knowledge and maybe even win some prizes. And who doesn't love bragging rights? Being the person who knows the answers can be a great feeling. It's a small but satisfying way to see the benefits of legal awareness in action. That's all the legal wisdom we can handle for one day. But remember, this is just the beginning. Legal awareness is a journey, not a destination. There's always more to learn and new ways to apply your knowledge. Stay tuned for next week when we tackle the thrilling world of international tax law. It's a topic that might seem dry at first, but it's incredibly important in our globalized world. Understanding international tax law can help you navigate the complexities of cross-border transactions and avoid costly mistakes. Just kidding, we're taking a nap. But seriously, stay curious and keep learning. Legal awareness is a powerful tool that can help you in countless ways.